One thing you could address, Marco, if there is an energy co-op, and try to be brief about this, our state has required that we have 100% renewable energy by 2045. Could a Hawaii Island Energy Co-op, if it existed, meet that? And at what cost? And would the ratepayer, would the people who pay for the electric utility, would we see a reduction in rates as a result of that?
And I'm supposed to talk about that briefly.
Oh yeah, because I'm going to ask these guys to talk about it briefly as well, and we have only about 20 minutes left.
Sure, I'll do the best I can.
The answer is yes or no.
I see, this is a great chance for me to note that to me there are four paramount goals here, four paramount really important things in terms of what a co-op would do and what a utility would do in general here in the state of Hawaii. Number one, the grid has to be reliable. People have to be able to have power when they need it, and that is 100% of the time. So typically the utilities are 99.99 something percent reliable. So reliability is one of the four. Second is affordability. If people are having to choose between paying their electric bill versus keeping food in their pantry for themselves and their families, that is a real problem. And some people, far too many families in this state and on this island have to do that. So bringing costs down, making energy costs more affordable, not just as far as electricity, but also transportation. That's one of the things that I definitely want to mention. This cooperative, if we are to go where I hope we are to go, we're not just focusing on power generation, transmission, distribution, but we very much want to focus on transportation, because this island, the state, is incredibly over-dependent, dangerously dependent on imported fuels, and has been for a long time. The third thing is we want to definitely take care of the ohana of the utility company employees. That's really critical. And the fourth is renewable energy. How do we get to where the governor signed into law that 100% by 2045? And that is going to be a real conundrum. I've had discussions with Jay, I've had discussions with a number of my other colleagues. It's not an easy thing to do if we're trying to keep energy cheaper, energy affordable, and also go to 100%. There are going to be tough decisions to be made how to do that, how to spread the burden. And no one up here on this podium here, of all these really great people and bright minds, has a definitive answer to that. It is going to be a work in progress and a real challenge.
Jay and Eric, can Hawaiian Electric in whatever form meet the goal of 100% renewable by 2045? At what cost will we ultimately save money?
We can definitely meet it. You can meet it with current technology today, and the best analysis of it that's been done goes up to 65% renewables and shows it's at higher cost with current technology by 2030, okay? That's the only study that's been done. We need to do a proper plan, but recognize that with our expectation is, with current technology, nobody can articulate a path today that gets to 100% renewables and saves customers money. That said, we expect that that's where we'll get. What you have to believe that's going to happen is that technology is going to continue to improve and the costs are going to continue to go down. You certainly have the renewable energy, and today we can produce renewable energy today here in Hawaii, here on the Big Island, cheaper than the cost of oil-fired power. So that's not the problem. The problem is, to get to 100%, it gets harder and harder to integrate that amount of, most of these renewable resources are variable. To integrate that on the grid, to keep the grid stable, that's where it gets really challenging to do it reliably and cost effectively. So it's going to take technology, it's going to take advancements, we're going to have to be smart about how we do it. Recognize that the way the law is written, if we can't do it cost effectively, basically the PUC can call a timeout. Okay, but our commitment is, and our intention is, to focus on getting to 100% as quickly as possible while at the same time saving customers money. Let me also say, I believe Hawaiian Electric, as part of the NextEra family, will be able to deliver more affordable rates than any muni or co-op option. Okay, and I'll cite as evidence that in Florida, there are 55 utilities. There are 55 electric utilities. 5 of them are investor-owned utilities, 50 of them are munis and co-ops. Our customers pay the lowest rates, 6 years in a row, 9.7 cents a kilowatt hour. We just put in for a rate decrease to 9.4. So our track record is we beat munis and co-ops.
One of the reasons that people here want renewable energy is that it's the right thing to do. That's a good thing. But the other thing is we think that by doing that we will get lower rates. Now right now, well, a year ago our electric rates on this island were around 44 cents per kilowatt hour. Today they're around 32 cents because the price of oil has dropped. It's about half today, maybe less than half of what it was a year ago. So is putting in renewable energy going to provide us with lower rates given how the rates are set and comparing the cost of oil, which is now dropping like crazy, or has been? What do you think, Jay and Eric?
I think renewables can actually be put in and actually drive down the pricing. We're just having a discussion today with some of my engineers looking at the pricing of our generation versus potential renewable energy generation. Currently with the low prices, cost of our generation is now in the 14 cents range. Prior to that, we're up in the, in the 20s. But now with the reduction in oil prices, we're about in the 14 cents range. We can get renewable energy, but it's not equivalent to our traditional conventional generation, which is available all the time and can manage the system. But we can get as available resources like wind that may be there or may not be there. We can get that in the 14 cents or below range. The new geothermal RFP that we put out, we saw a threshold price of 12 cents per kilowatt hour. So renewables can be lower, and we think we can drive it down lower. I think what we want to adopt is a model that the lowest cost option is adopted and used. We shouldn't adopt a model where we try to promote more expensive renewable resources and kind of create a inflated or artificial pricing just to put renewables onto the system. I think we're already in a situation where we can have a cost competitive environment where the lowest cost renewable resources are selected and used. 2045 is a ways out. I think it is prudent for us to manage our cost of electricity and make sure that we don't get caught in the kind of large variations that we got caught in with high fuel prices in 2008, 2009. That's why I personally believe pursuit of liquid natural gas as an interim fuel to take us from now until 2045, where we get 100% renewables, is a good strategy. You get a lower cost fuel. It's not renewable. It's still a fossil fuel. It is cleaner. It's lower cost. It's going to stabilize the price. So while we seek lower cost renewables, we have a hedge, a stable way to provide electricity at probably about the current, lower than the current prices, but not how much lower. But then you now have an environment where you can seek low-cost renewables in a well-planned, disciplined way. What happens when you have high fuel prices is then now the threshold for renewables goes up, and people will now may make selections of higher cost renewables as compared to high price of oil. I don't think long-term that is a good situation. And that's why I think using LNG, liquid natural gas, as an interim strategy is a good one, and it's consistent or in concert with the long-term plan to go to 100% renewables.